So we're currently on day whatever it might be of lockdown, and if you're anything like me and you're struggling a little bit with the fact that it's pouring down the rain outside and you want to get inspired for something a bit different, then we might have a little treat from Paris with love. So on this episode of coffeewithgpa.com, we're actually going to be looking at the LeCase coffee. Now this is another one that I found on Instagram, and I was super excited about receiving this one as normal. Now the LeCase itself was actually roasted at the Pact factory, so it was sent direct to me from Pact. This particular one looks very, very sleek in its appearance. I love the way that they've used nice, bold, blocky fonts and great use of block colour as well. I think from a packaging perspective, it looks awesome, and that was the very first thing that actually drew me to this coffee, other than the coffee itself, which is probably a bit more bizarre and perhaps what you might not necessarily expect from buying a bag of coffee that you buy it purely on aesthetics alone. So let's have a look in the bag to see what we actually get. So when we have a little look at the beans themselves, you do see a fairly sort of medium to larger size bean. Certainly of the characteristics of Brazilian coffee, they do have very large coffee beans, so you can quite distinctly tell the difference between your Colombian ones and your Brazilian inside this, but lovely medium roast, very consistent roast as well. What about the actual fragrance in the bag? Well, again, this is a very typical characterization of what you would expect from Brazilian coffees and Colombian coffees. The first flavour that jumps out, or the most distinct flavour that jumps out, are those sweet chocolate tones. But there's a big almond flavour in there as well. So when you think of almonds, you often think of a very soft, creamy textured nut. That's exactly what comes through when you get that first inhale of the bag itself. But very, very cool. And you can almost guarantee that this is going to be a nice tasting coffee purely on the fact of, you know, those sort of general notes that you get when you open the bag. So let's just have a quick make for coffee using our niche zero grinder and our rock espresso maker, just to see what we can characterize when we've made our espresso. So there is our espresso. Nice big double shot on this one. Now it smells quite brown sugary. I think you can kind of tell that there's a very sweet sugar taste, or certainly a sugar fragrance that's coming off of this from the get-go, but also mixed with those chocolatey tones, it kind of creates almost like a crumble type of aroma in the air. It's really good. Absolutely. Now this is a pulped and washed and natural dried coffee as well. So when you're looking at the different processes in terms of how they've produced, how they've washed, dried and roasted these beans, you can kind of tell because there's a slight lemon acidity that comes through on it, or like a citrus acidity, which is really pleasant. I think it needs something with those sweet tones to cut through those notes quite a bit. And it's funny, you can actually tell the difference between a natural coffee and a washed coffee. Washed coffees do sometimes have a more distinct flavour that can be characterised by the citrusy sort of side on the odd occasion. But that is really good. Again, chocolatey notes, sugary notes coming through, and those almondy flavours are very heavy characters in this, but super, super pleasant as well. Now, this is about £8 per bag from LeCaseParis.com. can also do a subscription service as well, and you can buy larger bags. So if you do need something a bit more to get you through lockdown, that might well be your answer. But a really well balanced, really delicious coffee, really good job. So it's one thing tasting the coffee, it's one thing enjoying a cup of coffee just to get through the day, but we are currently in what feels like the longest lasting lockdown of all eternity. So we want to do something a bit more with it, which means in our next video we've actually paired this coffee with a breakfast meal, all down to our good friends Simon and Chris Braz, and they're going to be showing us how to make this meal step by step. Now I don't want to reveal too much about it, just think of a little bit of Japanese influence and you'll be laughing. So I can't wait to see you all for that next video. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to it if you haven't done so already, and hit the notification button so when we do release the cooking video, you'll know exactly when it's ready. Can't wait to see you all again then, and I hope you enjoy your coffee and stay safe during lockdown. Take care.